Good deal. Let's move on to something else entirely. I think in part as a way of adding more excitement and meaning to your regular season, you've talked a lot about a mid-season tournament in the NBA. It's still a concept I don't think most fans fully understand. What can you tell us about that, or any other ideas you may have to add emphasis to regular season games?
Well, sure. I'll begin with the play-in tournament, which is, to us, is still part of the regular season as opposed to part of the playoffs.
Right.
As you know, that was something we started 2 seasons ago. So it allows the teams in 9th and 10th place to play in against 7 and 8. And we think that has worked to create additional competition, particularly in the last month of the regular season, because, again, it gives teams hope that may have decided to give up, may have had a player out for an injury and thought that just at this point they weren't going to make the playoffs. Now they can be in the 10th position and squeeze in the playoffs. So that, we think, has been very effective. In terms of the mid-season tournament, I think since we last talked, I've morphed to calling it an in-season tournament as opposed to mid-season, only because as we're looking at different models, it may not fall right smack center at the middle of the season. But the notion is, and I've said this before, trying to steal a page, particularly from European soccer, where they have other trophies that they play for. And the ideal would be to take nothing whatsoever away from the Larry O'Brien trophy, our championship trophy, but in what is increasingly a long regular season, particularly as you look at how people's habits change over time. Getting people to sit down for 2.5 hours to watch a game isn't necessarily consistent with the way people watch sports or any events these days. And to say, let's find some games in the regular season, probably still within the same footprint we're operating in now. So the season would start roughly around the same time, end around the same time. But then maybe convert some of those regular season games into what we call a mid-season tournament and begin a new tradition of something that players care about, teams care about, something to win. Again, not the Larry O'Brien trophy, but yet something probably secondary to that, but something that maybe you'd see just players go into that extra gear for that competition. And by the way, it's not just European soccer, college basketball, I'm a big fan there. And there's a history, too, of playing tournaments around holidays and other things where teams bring their best game and really want to win.
The NBA eager to restart talks with Teams Players Association about adding that mid-season tournament. Adam Silver has gained optimism about the idea because of the success of the play-in tournament. However, some players, such as Jamal Murray, have already spoken out against the idea. Here was a tweet from Jamal. Please, NBA, stop with all these tournament talks. No need to make the season more complex. Well, here is what we know and sort of how complicated it might be. 8-team single elimination tournament, kind of in that European soccer model. Winning players would get $1 million each, so they understand, got to put more skin in the game, and it would reduce the season overall from 82 to 78 games. So, Matt, we heard players like LeBron, Luka say they didn't even like the play-in tournament. What do you think of the idea of a mid-season tournament?
Players are probably going to hate this. Obviously, can't speak for them because I don't know. But you saw Jamal Murray has already come out. To me, to give an honest opinion about this, I just don't know because there's not enough information.
Not a ton of info.
What 8 teams is it going to be? But at the end of the day, I think we have to be careful because obviously, I think with the success of the play-in, a lot of fandemonium, a lot of people loved it, a lot of energy, probably generated a lot of money. But at the same time, I mean, at the cost of the players, how many things are you going to continue to do that the players really don't like? So it'll be interesting. Like I said, I think we need more information to get a solid answer for this. But right now, who knows?
Well, the play-in tournament, we talked. It was mentioned to us a year ago because I was still playing.
Yeah, you're still playing.
I was still playing it, and they threw out the idea. What do you guys think about it? It was like, I don't know. Like Matt said, there's not enough information, and I'm like, okay. I'm like, if you win the tournament mid-season, what do you get?
Yeah.
$1 million. But what does that mean? What else comes with that?
We don't know.
Are you exempted in the play-in tournament? Like, what comes of it? And it's like, at the end of the day, you just don't make it more difficult.
Yeah. I mean, look, the whole point is the juice worth the squeeze, right? So
Correct.
I don't have any doubt that this would be something we would get into and would be exciting. It's nice to have something with stakes in the middle of the season. Might juice TV ratings, but is it worth the squeeze of damaging something else that's important to you? I think the play-in tournament is worth the squeeze. I understand it changes the dynamic of the regular season, and if you're fighting for that 7 or 8 seed, but think it kind of changes the dynamic in a good way. We saw more scrapping for those later seeds. We saw more scrapping around the 5-6 part of the bracket. Stay out of the 7th seed. That is worth the squeeze to me, even if you get something like what happened in the West, where the team that finished 8th, Steph Curry and the Warriors, don't end up in the first round. I think all the benefits we got leading into it were worth it. I don't know, though, Perk, do you think the juice is worth the squeeze for a mid-season tournament, which might be fun in itself, but we don't know what it would do to the rest of the season?
No, I don't, because I love the play-in tournament. I think that was a wonderful idea. It's turned out to be great, and I said my reasons why. Because of the competitive nature and not taking the regular season games for granted. But Jay-Z said it best, right, when he talked about less is more, right? There's plenty of us. That was kind of his bar, and I'm looking at the NBA like that too. Like, okay, you did a great job by adding the play-in. Don't overdo it.
Right.
The play-in is just fine. Like, leave it right where it's at. Don't touch nothing. Don't try to critique nothing else. Just leave it right where it's at. The play-in was a great addition. Don't try to add the mid-season tournament, because that's how a lot of things get messed up in the world, right? Like, you have something good, you did something right to it, and then all of a sudden it's like, let's add more. Then all of a sudden adding more takes away from it. So I would just leave it right where it's at. To me, it's perfect.
I want to add to this. What I think you will start to see is teams not play their best players in this. Like, they're going to think, I get it, it's fun, but this is not worth it to us. Right. And you may see teams not play their best players, and then now it's going to end up being a wash after a year because of that as well.
The new NBA mid-season tournament.
Called a 70-game season, but then to have a mid-season tournament, some sort of mid-season tournament. It's the Stern Cup, right? And that it's meaningful.
We need to work on the name.
Replacing games with a new tournament would add excitement to the long NBA season. But what kind of tournament? Who should be playing? And what are they playing for? There are two common forms of tournament: a round robin, where each team plays each other in a mini-league of sorts, and knockout, where teams must win matches or be eliminated. For maximum entertainment, the win-or-go-home stakes of a single elimination knockout are ideal. Each round could be a best-of series, like the playoffs, or perhaps a home-and-away aggregate, similar to European soccer, where scores are added together over 2 legs. We could even modify the match rules, maybe 3-on-3, or quick one-quarter games. I think a best-of-1 single elimination bracket would be the most entertaining, with a neutral venue to stop any unfair home-court advantage. Maybe the tournament is only for struggling teams who won't make the playoffs. Either the bottom 4 teams of each conference, or the bottom 8 overall. Maybe we include every team, with buys for the top 2. We can see this by conference, by the league as a whole, or instead randomly draw each round. This creates competitive games at every round, with matchups between top teams or bitter rivals. The draw could be televised after each round.
23. Number 23 is Liverpool. The 7-time winners have a home draw against number 16. Against Everton. Liverpool play Everton.
But why just stop here? What about including G League teams as well? This is similar to the English FA Cup, allowing any team to enter no matter the size. We still get our exciting matchups, but also the chance to see some familiar faces.
Bennett, you only have 2 seconds to go. Puts it up, gets the shot. 0.2 seconds to go. Bennett the savior.
As well as possible future stars.
Morris Caboclo with his leg. Oh, and a slam from Siakam. Here. Look at that pass by Van Vliet.
Best of all is the chance of underdog upsets in these win-or-go-home scenarios.
That's it. Oldham Athletic have pulled up the impossible here. They beat Liverpool 3-2.
Or maybe for a smaller team to go all the way.
We're going to do it! Unbelievable!
I think that including all 58 teams in a random draw would be the most fun for fans, though we may need to stop teams playing their own affiliates. Though the trophy will gain prestige over time, in the short term we need incentives to compete. Owners, players and coaches can be incentivised with cash, but the fans need a reason to watch too. Offering playoff spots or home court advantage would be a great prize, but would mean that winners would take the rest of the season off. What about draft picks? A guaranteed top 5 or top 10 pick would be great, but is a huge prize for a top team, whilst not being an improvement if won by a weaker team. Teams could possibly gain a modifier that improves their own pick, bumping it up in the order. This could work, but if you've traded your pick, then it's meaningless. So instead, we could introduce new first-round picks for top teams. Maybe between rounds 1 and 2, maybe after the lottery, or maybe spread throughout the draft. So each round could pay out cash to winners, with the first, second, and third place teams getting valuable new picks, let's say 10th, 15th, and 20th. If a G League team wins, then the prize could be passed on to their NBA equivalent. So we have an exciting, unpredictable mid-season tournament, with every NBA and G League side hoping to knock each other out in the hopes of picks, cash, and most importantly, the new Stone Cup.